Hey, good morning, everyone. This is Hunter Anderson coming at you somewhat live. By the time you see this, won't be live, of course, from downtown Minneapolis, where my wife and I currently live. We are underneath a level 4 out of 5 risk from the Storm Prediction Center. That is the moderate risk there in the red. I know I don't have the screen capturing going on this morning. I'm recording just from my phone, but I do want to keep this fairly short, brief, and I will do my best to be as succinct with this as possible. I'll take a quick look at surface observations I have in the color fill, surface dew points or isodrosotherms, and then in the contours here we have the mid-level lapse rates. I believe this is from the 700 to 500 millibar layer average lapse rate. And we are seeing the advection of what is an elevated mix layer coming in across the central plains, moving into the eastern plains, upper Midwest, and nosing up into southern Minnesota right now. Those red contours and purple are 8 and 9 plus degrees Celsius per kilometer, respectively. And this is going to be a rare parameter space. This is what's going to be setting up across Iowa and Minnesota later today, and really going to be stretching all across the dry line. And I'm going to do a quick contour here, rough estimate. It looks like we do have a surface low somewhere here in eastern South Dakota. We do have the warm front, generally speaking, arcing slightly north and eastward from the low and then back down through the Mississippi Valley, something like this. You can kind of see that kind of demarcating the difference there between the drier air mass and the moist air mass is probably a good indicator where that warm front is. There is a cold front, I know, back this way. You see that wind shift there. It kind of stretches back maybe out toward the Cheyenne, Wyoming area. We will get redevelopment along this region as well, but really going to be primarily a wind and hail threat today. And then we have our main driver, I think, is going to be our dry line. Adjust the color here. And currently, I think it's situated somewhat like this. Again, kind of largely demarcating the difference between the drier air mass here. You see those browns and reds and the greens and blues out here in front across the plains. So this dry line is going to also advect or push eastward with this low pressure system as it slowly evolves into Minnesota later today. We do have kind of a stationary front, something like this too. This is really going to be our main steering, thermal steering for this low to gradually evolve along. And eventually this cold front will overtake the dry line later tonight, and we will see widespread convection, I would assume, from there on into the overnight hours. Here is our primary shortwave ejecting across the plains last night, moving on into today. Really strong flow at 500 millibars. You see in the yellow there, that is roughly 60 to 80 knot winds stretching all the way from the northern Texas panhandle up into northern Wisconsin. And this is again going to be advecting these really steep lapse rates coming in across the plains up into the Midwest today, right in that same layer. And let me pull up some soundings here. I'll show you guys what I'm looking at. I did do a backwards trajectory yesterday. This is ending in Minneapolis at 4 p.m. today. So where's that air projected at 4 p.m. later this afternoon originating from? 18 hours ago, our blue and green lines are emanating from the New Mexico area, and these are also estimated around roughly 850 to 700 millibars, respectively. Our red line, backwards trace, is coming in from roughly the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and this is roughly our 925 millibar air parcel. So what does the environment look like around those areas last night, 18 hours previous to 21Z today, around 9-10 p.m. last night? Well, here's the same trajectory, roughly speaking. I mean, I did some editing, but you can see down there we have surface dew points in the mid to upper 60s around the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And then you can see, look at our contours here, our red and pink magenta contours. We have 8 to 9 plus Celsius per kilometer lapse rates and very dry, well-mixed air coming in from the high terrain. And this is going to overspread the moist low levels coming in from the southern plains. This is what we see with tornado events and memorable tornado events. You can see the very moist, saturated low levels there, and even a little bit of mixing still going on. I had 0Z last night out of Dallas-Fort Worth. And there's the very dry mix layer, which will eventually be our mix layer. This is actually the surface in Albuquerque, but look how deep that stretches. And look at the lapse rate. That's 10.5 Celsius per kilometer. That's as steep as it really gets, guys. This is rare territory. If we move forward, here is Topeka's 12Z sounding, launched about an hour and a half ago. And look at that lapse rate right there, right in the mid-levels, 9.5 roughly. And I guarantee you, if you overlay the Albuquerque sounding from last night with the Topeka sounding this morning, guarantee you that lapse rate is very close, if not the exact same, because again, that is the same air mass advecting northeastward today. So let's take a look real quick at some general reflectivity, just seeing where the model guidance is maybe spitting out the most consistent signal. And that's our wave going on through this morning. We do have a little shower moving through right now, and probably will have a little bit of lightning with it here shortly. It's getting a little bit darker outside compared to even 5 minutes ago. But you can see all that kind of noise up there across Minnesota. Well, that initial wave's going to move out later this morning, and this dry line's going to finally move into the northern plains, upper Midwest, into the upper Mississippi Valley later today. And we'll see that dry line continue to move eastward, stretch really from kind of west central Texas all the way up into southern Minnesota. And we will see redevelopment along that later this afternoon. And we can see it starting to bubble right here in southwest Minnesota. A little bit more cold frontal forcing, I think, up here, so primarily a large hail and damaging wind threat, and that really should extend back across maybe even as far west as northwest Nebraska and the panhandle up there. Same area that saw that crazy tornado family last night. But as we continue to press forward, you'll see this dry line start to light up really everywhere from southern Minnesota down to northern Iowa, around the Kansas City metro, and down into central and northwest Texas there. I will show you guys quickly a couple soundings. This is a pretty straight hodograph. This is right around New Ulm, Olivia, Minnesota, so west of the Twin Cities. Pretty straight hodograph, not a lot of streamwise vorticity there, but still very strong, a long vorticity vector. It's just not a curved hodograph really. So still love these kind of profiles for large hail and strong straight line damaging winds. And man, we got 75 knots halfway up that buoyant layer. So we certainly see some pretty destructive winds today with a surface-based storm. We'll go a little bit further south, and you'll see the difference of this, particularly the magenta region of this hodograph or vertical wind profile, that 0 to 1 kilometer layer. And look at that looping or curvature there. I mean, that's rare territory that we see. This is the time of year to see that. During the kind of the springtime, we get those strong springtime deep troughs and storm systems, low pressures that deepen throughout the entire evolution of the day. And this is located roughly around Fairmont or so, kind of right along the I-90 corridor, St. James, Fairmont regions, a little bit south of the kind of the Minnesota River Valley, and then we go a little bit further south here into northwest Iowa, and even a little bit larger humping there with the hump there with the low level vertical wind profile. This would support, just looking at the storm relative inflow vector, pretty long. Yeah, it's 35 plus knots. We're looking at pretty wide updrafts that should be resistant to all of this dry air located in the mid-levels. And wider updrafts mean bigger storms, bigger hazards, essentially speaking, especially in terms of hail production. Also, wider updrafts can support wider tornadoes. So if we get wedge-type tornadoes today, really low LCLs here, and over 153 Cape noted, and a 8-degree lapse rate right above that slight stable layer, and this is valid at 0Z. So this model's obviously, we're losing daytime heating at this point, but this is a really significant rare hodograph that we see up here in the Midwest. And then you get the backing aloft, really good ventilation, and this would be a long track. This is a long track tornadic supercell sounding, and really steady state and strong, intense mesocyclone. So we are going to be targeting I think the New Ulm area initially, and we'll kind of just staircase our way south and east ahead of any of this incoming convection as it forms along the dry line today. The biggest question is, as I go back to the 500 millibar jet, I know it's the level of non-divergence, but we will take a look at something quickly here. Oh, actually, that's looking actually a little bit better. Kind of the right entrance region into this jet streak is kind of nosing up into Iowa now. Before, looks like the right exit region, not the right entrance, the right exit region. So this area up here in the jet was focused more over Iowa yesterday with yesterday's guidance, and I think that was suppressing convection on at least the convective allowing models. And obviously your favored corridor is going to be generally your left exit region. That's also where your surface low is, and lo and behold, that's where our surface low is going to be today, and deepening throughout the period. Here is my personal, this is not the SPC, this is my personal outlook today. For the Armchair Forecast Challenge, I do have a broad 45% hail bullseye up here, and then another more localized one down near the Wichita Falls area. Here is the wind I have forecast today, a broad 30% across this region. Includes the Twin Cities, goes down almost to Des Moines, Ames area, and includes La Crosse out toward Wausau and Stevens Point. And last but not least, here's my tornado outlook. Got a little 5% hyperlocal bullseye, so to speak, down around the Wichita Falls area today. There is a thermal low that forms down there, so it could have something interesting down there. But I think if we do get any tornadoes today, really, I think they're going to be right along the Minnesota-Iowa border. It could be as far north as, at least the significant tornadoes could be as far north as the far southern Twin Cities metro, and that extends east into the Rochester area. So if you're anywhere along the I-90 corridor today and I-35 corridor south of Minneapolis, I-90 between Blue Earth and La Crosse, pay attention today to the weather. Feel free to share this with everyone that you know of. Submitting my forecast, and just for a secondary opinion, a little bit more professional opinion, I would say. Here's the SPC's outlook one last time. Here's their hail, really broad 30% area, and then kind of that hyperlocal area they're seeing as well down there near that thermal low and dry line. Wind also focused further north, and they have that 15% there highlighted, including the cities down into Fort Dodge, Iowa, over to La Crosse, Wisconsin, Stevens Point, Wausau, Eau Claire. So a lot of people under the gun, but I think it's going to be a little bit more local than people realize. Stay safe out there, guys, and we'll see what we get today. Thanks for watching.